Hello everybody, and welcome. If you're new to the channel, a very big welcome, and I hope that you find the videos on this channel useful. I'm Janet West, and in 2019 I was diagnosed with stage 2 aggressive tongue cancer. I'd never heard of tongue cancer before, and obviously when I spoke to my surgeon about the new normal, it was going to affect quite a lot of things in my life. Well, today I'm going to talk about a subject that a lot of people find difficult to talk about. And so it's intimacy and sex. Now let's face it, intimacy and sex is a natural part of life. Let's face it, we wouldn't be here if we didn't have sex. So I'm going to address some of the issues. I've got some anecdotes from patients who've talked about some of the bad issues they've had or difficult times. I'm going to talk about both getting back on the dating scene and when you've got a long-term partner. And then look at options if you can't do what you used to do. First of all, what I'd like to say is anything I'm talking about today is purely based on my own experience or talking to heterosexual and gay couples. There really isn't a lot written about sex and intimacy after head and neck cancer. I did quite a bit of research, found very little, but I did come across a podcast from Cancer Council Australia where they do talk about it a little bit, but not in very much detail. So I hope it'll be useful, and if you have further comments, you can always send them to me. Intimacy is different for every person, and it has nothing to do with gender, sex, religion, race. It's different for everybody. Intimacy can be penetration sex, or it can simply be kisses and cuddles, touching, walking hand in hand while talking. It's different for everybody, but it must always be based on trust. As many of you know, intimacy after head and neck cancer treatment is difficult. It's not only just the libido has gone down because of tiredness, it's the fact that your tongue isn't the right shape. You might smell different. You have xerostoma if you've had radiation. You have a dry mouth. You can't taste anything anymore. You have emotional crashes, and the list goes on. And none of this helps intimacy. Let's look at the list. Radiotherapy and surgery, a lot of them are the same, but xerostoma, swallowing problems, teeth loss, weight loss, lymphedema, mucosis, intimate relations, hearing problems, fatigue, and loss of self-esteem. Not a good recipe for a high libido. Now I'd like to point out that not everybody has all those problems after head and neck cancer treatment. But some people do, so that's why I've included the list. After major surgery, in my case it was 11 hours, your body takes an awful long time to recover. That takes a lot of energy. Energy that you might have been using for other things. I want to address intimacy with both a long-term partner and those of you who are single who want to get out on the dating scene. So, hopefully this will give you some interesting ideas, perhaps help sometimes, and address some of the issues which are quite often taboo. If you're with a long-term partner, one of the issues is that when you've had your treatment or even pre-treatment, your partner suddenly becomes your carer. And that totally changes the dynamic of the relationship. Romance, which may have been very active or very mild prior to surgery and treatment, quite frankly, it might have disappeared overnight. And some partners may feel that, well, you've had the treatment, so you ought to be okay now. And this creates a tension. And that tension and stress also reduces libido. Besides communicating each other's needs, use your new sex life or your new normal sex life as a way to experiment, have some fun, and work with your partner so that your partner doesn't feel neglected. This can be as simple as asking for a massage, touching or stroking, and using things like perhaps a feather, fingers, or whatever suits you. It's very important that your partner knows that intimacy in sex is not over. It's going to take a bit of time and you're going to work together. Now, getting back on the dating scene can be intimidating even for people that haven't had any medical issues. It's not easy out there, and the older you are, even more difficult. But you want to meet a partner, so what do? On your first date, please don't say to the person you're with, "I've got half my tongue missing," or "I had HPV, which could be a sexually transmitted disease." I mentioned at the beginning that sex and intimacy is based on trust. So get to know the person a little bit first. Now, I remember when I was younger, some guy that I went out with, he said that he'd been told that the longer that you waited to have sex with a partner, the better it was. And I actually agree. So, if you're going out on the dating scene, go gently. Don't expect to meet the man of your life immediately, or the woman of your life, but get to know them before you start giving them intimate details about what you've had done in your mouth. Casual sex can be between a man, a woman, heterosexual or gays. Most of these encounters take place via the internet these days, and so it's very easy to stipulate what you want, what you don't want, and you don't have to tell them immediately that you've had head and neck cancer. But let's talk about young love for a minute. Not all head and neck cancer patients are elderly. We're getting more and more cases where teenagers, early 20s, are getting head and neck cancer. And young love is a little bit different. When you're on the dating scene, sometimes it's quite difficult to be patient and wait because sexual energy is on fire. So it's very important for young patients after their treatment is that they are much more patient and really try and communicate with the person and become a friend first before you jump into bed. Now, for oral sex, one problem can arise, and that is after surgery you may not be able to open your mouth very far. This often happens also if you've had a TMJ problem like I did. That's the joint here which, if inflamed, can stop you opening your mouth. Now, there are products on the market such as Therabite, but if you go on Amazon there are various products available to help you open your mouth wider. Now, after surgery, I could barely open my mouth one finger. It was just like this. When I had the TMJ problem, it was even worse. But now, after time, and I'm 6 years on from my surgery, I can open my mouth 3 fingers. So don't despair. If you're having problems opening your mouth, just work at it, do the exercises, use a mechanical contraption to help you, and you'll be fine. Patience. If your libido has completely gone, you've got to talk to your partner. Now, one option might be to try tantric sex. This does not involve penetrative sex and is a custom that's over 5,000 years old. It actually, by touching with your eyes closed and breathing together, enables you to create some sexual tension between the two of you, both spiritually and energetically. It includes slow breathing, making sounds, gentle movements, and touching to activate this sexual energy. For more information, go online. I got a few little anecdotes from talking to patients, and you'll have to excuse me, but I need to read them because I can't remember them all in one go. So some of the feedback that I've had from patients include, my husband didn't want to touch me because he told me I didn't smell right. How do you think that made the patient feel? My partner wouldn't kiss me because the idea of putting his tongue in my mouth and feeling the flap repulsed him. The flap actually is just part of you. It just came from a different part of your body, so try and make a joke about it. A male patient called me worried he'd no longer be able to use his tongue for oral sex and couldn't get any help from the local GP. Now, patients who've had HPV-related cancers may be reluctant to share bodily fluids in oral sex as they're worried about catching HPV or, heaven forbid, another cancer. Personally, I can't bear the thought of a penis in my mouth, as my graft goes right down the back of my tongue, and even a piece of spaghetti when I'm having pasta, if that gets stuck, I just gag. One partner said he felt his wife was too fragile to touch, which made her feel rejected. I don't want to catch your cancer, said one guy on a second date. An explanation is needed to a lot of people. You can't catch cancer. They're cells that are in your body. And a partner cornered me once at a support meeting, and I felt very sad for his wife. He said that she'd had the surgery 3 months previously, and then said to me, "What's wrong with her? Why isn't she better and back to normal?" This poor lady had had a partial gastrectomy, radiation treatment, and also a neck dissection. Her libido must have just dropped through the floor. So besides communicating with each other, there are lots of ways to be intimate with your partner. Try experimenting, might be fun. But it can be as simple as asking for a massage, asking just to be touched gently, asking just for cuddles. You can use feathers, fingers, anything you want to touch to get sensations on the body and start having some sexual drive. It's really important that your partner knows that intimacy is not dead, it's just going to take some time. So, if your breath smells, what can you do? Well, you can either suck a peppermint or have something to drink beforehand. Buying sex toys on the internet takes the stigma out of walking into a sex shop. There are lots of toys, there are lots of gels, perfumes, oils, lots of things to choose from. Now, regarding French kissing, when you've had a partial gastrectomy, there might be that reluctance with the partner to put his tongue or her tongue in your mouth. But all you simply need to say is, well, it's part of me. What's in my tongue is just the same as if you were kissing my arm. Now, some of you, particularly after radiotherapy, will suffer from a dry mouth. and this for sex can sometimes be difficult. But there are lots of gels available and different flavours. So have a look at what's available and choose what's suitable for you. Now, if you have that horrible sticky mucus, you know, the stuff that you can almost pull out like spaghetti, then I've found all you need to do is to have a drink and perhaps put a bit of lemon juice or cranberry juice in it, and that kind of reduces the mucus. If a guy or gal no longer interested in oral sex, then fingers or toys can equally work wonders. After all, intimacy is about sharing pleasure. However, although you might use a condom for mouth to penis sex, you might want to consider a physical barrier, which is sometimes called a dental dam. And this can be used for mouth to vagina and mouth to anus sex. Such products are rarely found in your local pharmacy. This can then be put over the vagina or the anus to create a barrier that we know will protect you against sexually transmitted diseases. Some people may want to think, well, I'll save money and I'll use kitchen cling film. No, there have been no tests that cling film can adequately protect you from sexually transmitted diseases. So this is how you make a dental dam. You need a fresh condom and a pair of scissors. So take the condom, cut open, make sure it's a new one, take it out and unroll it the same way as you would do normally. Cut off the rolled portion and then slide the scissors inside and cut lengthways. There is your dental dam. And remember, you can get condoms with lots of different flavours that are going to suit your new tongue or mouth. If you add a lubricant between the body surface and the cut condom, then this will help it stop it sliding around. Now, if none of this works for you, then make an appointment at your local sex National Health Clinic and ask professionals for help. Now, be demanding. I suggest to patients that you ask for what you want. At the early stages of recovery, you've got to do this, otherwise it will cause friction between you and your partner. You need to make your partner feel needed. Now, because some patients and partners don't feel like sex anymore, don't just wander around the house in old jogging pants, don't do your hair, all this sort of thing, unless of course that's what you wore on your first date or when you're normally with your partner. Keep your appearance up to keep your attractiveness to your partner. So always make sure that you do your hair and brush your teeth. And a lot of us, I know, use water pick to keep the teeth really nice and clean. And this way, your new normal, it's a bit different, but it lets your partner know that the rest of you is just the same as it's always been. Well, thank you for watching. I hope you found some of the things I've talked about useful, and I hope you'll be hanging from the chandeliers pretty soon. Now, if you haven't subscribed already, please do so now. There are lots of videos online, and I'll be putting others on as time goes on. Now, I thought I'd mention this painting, why I featured it in this video. Well, last year, the company that I work for part-time commissioned an artist, Laurent Laporta, to paint my cancer journey And that is the result. It's got a soft spot in my heart because it's in my living room, and every time I see it, I think, yep, that was my cancer, and now I'm cancer-free. So I look forward to seeing you again soon. I'm Janet West, and this is Head and Neck Cancer Fitness.